What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be taking your questions on bringing old cars to the dealerships, E85 conversions, turbocharger issues, and more. This is episode 235 of the Humble Mechanic podcast. All right, the way to get a question on a show like this is to email me, charles@humblemechanic.com. Put question for Charles in the subject. Be sure to ask that question right at the top, then give me some space, then give me the details. That helps me out a ton when doing these questions for you. Also, if you don't see your question on a show like this, be sure to hit that quick videos playlist on YouTube where I do one question per video. If watching is not your flavor, you can listen to the audio-only versions on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, your favorite podcasting platform, or of course at HumbleMechanic.com. All right, let's talk about the sponsor of the day, which is CRP Automotive. CRP deals in a ton of OE maintenance and repair parts, timing belt kits, suspension components, and even fluids. In fact, they make the factory DSG fluid for Volkswagen and Audi. So check them out at crpautomotive.com. And real quick, remember, if you want to support the show, which I really appreciate, as well as score yourself some amazing discounts and exclusive content from me, check out that Crew membership program. You get discounts to places like USP Motorsports, MyCanic, Petrol Box, Kerma TDI, Adams Polishes, Scanner Danner, and a whole bunch more. The list is right over here somewhere and linked down in the description. You guys can check that out. All right, we're done with all that stuff. Let's hit these questions. First one up is from Michael. Hey Charles, my question is, do dealerships prioritize cars by age and give the older cars to the apprentice to practice? I'm a loyal subscriber who's watched all your videos as a technician, finding them very informative, and I own a Mark IV R32 since 2010. I recently did suspension work and needed a full wheel alignment, so I went to the dealership expecting to get the best of the best. The car was due for a full service, so I booked a service as the car was already there and I was busy at work. I always check over the car as soon as I get it back. Good for you. You should definitely do that. On the way back from the dealership, I noticed the steering wheel wasn't straight, so I took it back to be properly realigned. When I finally got the car back to have a look at the work that was done, I now have a wheel arch rub. Under the hood is all messy with oil spills. Intake manifold is all scratched up around the coil packs. And now I have feathering on my front tires. Well, that is a super bummer, man. So let's talk about the question itself and how dealerships prioritize who gets what car. This 100% depends on the dealership, okay? The way it worked at my dealership was pretty straightforward. Your appointment was with a certain advisor. That advisor would decide which of their 3 or 4 technicians or 2 technicians, depending, it would go to. That could be whoever was up next for a job. That could be someone had that specialty. So this R32, for example, if it came into my shop and my advisor got that customer, I would of course have gotten it. Not just because I have an R32, but because I really spent a lot of years fixing Mark IVs, so that was kind of in my wheelhouse, so to say. Cabrios were another one that I seem to always get all of them. But that could have easily went to anyone else on the team depending on the schedule and the job and the technician's experience. I don't think that shops should be giving older cars to apprentice technicians to practice on, but they very well may. I actually like to give the newer cars to the apprentices and the new guys to let them work on those, and give the older cars to the guys that know those cars really well because they're going to be more likely to find a problem and not let work just wander out the door. This all really, to me, boils down to you got the bad straw, right? The short straw of someone that just flat out didn't care about what they were doing. This could be an apprentice. This could be a guy with a lot of experience. This could be somebody just having a really bad day, someone that didn't want to work on your car. You know, a million reasons why this job went sideways. There is not just a flat out, yes, shops do this, because every shop functions and flows differently. It makes some sense to give older cars to newer technicians so they can learn and begin to develop a rhythm and a process for finding problems like, I don't know, a bad tie rod end or a broken suspension bushing or rear brakes, whatever it is that you're not going to see failing on a car that's a year or 2 old. So I can see both sides of that. But by and large, I don't think there's a specific procedure at most shops that the new guys get the old cars. Again, I like it the other way around, just to keep workflow into the dealership and keep my guys that have been around a while that worked on these cars when they were new, keep them making money. But that's, that's just how I would do it. It is just unfortunate you got someone flat out didn't care, tore up your car. I hope you're taking it back to the dealership and getting all of those things fixed. You know, the wheel rub could be suspension related. It could be poor alignment related. The feathering, I don't know. You know, there's a lot of information that we would really need to decide, is this the dealership's fault Or is this just like now your new normal with modifying the suspension? And that, of course, is an answer I don't have. But guys, if a dealership messes up your car, talk to them about it. You don't need to go in guns blazing, right? Remember I said a couple weeks ago that the best way to get someone to help you do something is to get them to want to help you. Keep that in mind when you're talking to anyone, right, in a service-related industry. You want them to be on your team. You want them to be your advocate. So go in with that mindset, and I think that'll help. But I hope they get that stuff fixed for you, because I know if I took my car and had those issues come back afterwards, I would either not care about it because the car wasn't that important to me, or the car's super important to me and I'd be big time mad about it and want that stuff fixed. Workflow varies shop to shop. Truthfully, it doesn't matter, because even good shops can have, even a good shop is going to have that lowest dude or lowest chick on the totem pole as far as experience and as far as give a damn level too. I know we've had some amazing techs come through the shop and work there for a long time, and some guys I wouldn't let fix my lawnmower, or I don't know, this GoPro mount that I just so happen to have sitting here. Even though we were a really good shop, there's always going to be the best, and there's always going to be the bottom of the barrel no matter where you go, and everybody else kind of falls in between. So keep that in mind. If you guys do find a good technician, when you go to get service on your car, make sure that you ask for them by name and have them work on your car only. That's going to be the best thing for you and for the longevity of your car and your life. And don't ever hesitate to bring that tech some cookies or a beer, because we always really appreciate it and made the day that much better. All right, next up, hey Charles, thanks for the great videos. My question is, I would like to make my Passat R36 from 2009 be able to accept variable levels of E85, and was wondering what parts needed to be changed and what needs to be done to the ECU, for instance. If you look at the Audi A4 Flex Fuel, it looks like they've changed a few parts in the tank and added a fuel quality sensor. They also actually have another injector that only sprays on cold start, a port injector as well. I've tried to run 20% E85 with no modification. It runs just fine, but I'm wondering what the risks long-term and progressively increasing the percentage of E85 in my tank. Note that I don't drive much, typically 3,000 to 4,000 miles per year. Wow, that's not very much. All right, so you want to convert to E85. Doable, totally doable. I just don't know, is it really worth it? Depending on what other modifications you have to your car, is it really worth it? So when we get dealing with E85, we need to remember that we're going to need more fuel quantity. You'll need roughly 10 to 30% more fuel. So what that means is we got to look at our fuel injector upgrade. You probably got enough fuel line in that car to meet the requirements. And we may have to look at fuel delivery, meaning in-tank pump, meaning high pressure pump, because this was an R36, so it should be direct injections. It should have high pressure fuel pump. We never got that car here, which I'm a little bit bitter about. But those are some of the things you're going to need to think about. E85 is also drier than gasoline, so it has less lubricating properties. Your stock pump may not be able to hold up to that, both high pressure and low pressure in the tank. And of course, you're going to need an ECM tune to back that up. To me, I don't see it being worth it just to save a couple bucks on fuel, if that's why you're doing it, which it kind of sounds like. Especially only driving 3,000 to 4,000 miles a year, you're going to spend way more to do it, and it's going to take a long time to get that return on your investment back. That being said, it's cool. Upgrade of injectors, upgrade of probably in-tank pump, maybe not high pressure pump, of course, an ECM tune. The people that'll tune your ECM will probably have the guidance of what injectors you need, whether you really need to upgrade your high pressure fuel pump and low pressure fuel pump or not. Maybe you need spark plugs. That might be another addition that you want to look at as well. So it's doable. I just don't know on like a stock car that's the only mod I would really spend the time, energy, and money on it. But if that's what you want to do, you have my support. I would want a fuel quality sensor in addition to all those other mods as well, just so that the ECM can monitor it. You're right, the Audi does have it. So that's what you're gonna need, man. You're gonna need to get more fuel into the engine. Engine management, I think, is gonna be priority number one. So talk to someone, and I don't know anyone near you that does that. So do a little research, find someone that does the tune for the R36. I'm sure they do. I know that United Motorsports, has a tune for the R32. I don't know if they make anything for your car, but they may be the company that I would reach out to. I have two tunes from on my R32, an ECM tune and a Haldex tune. Both are really cool. I'm really into both of them. So I would not hesitate to recommend you talking to those guys, and they'll tell you exactly what you need, if it's doable, if they have a tune for your car or not. If they don't, hey, maybe this is a good opportunity for you to work with them and get a tune developed for your car, because I think that would be pretty darn cool. All right, next up is from Jason. I live in Atlanta and absolutely love your YouTube videos. Thanks, dude. Appreciate that. Anyway, I got a 12 GLI with 90K, and my check engine light came on. Code was a P0299 underboost. That is a lot of times that's a turbocharger, which I know you're familiar with. I did a video on it. I'll link that up. You guys can learn all about that code and how it fails. Put a diverter valve in it. That didn't fix it. Then did the anti-rattle clip on the arm. I knew I was reaching at that one, but it did eliminate the rattle. That's good. As the summer progressed, it's got hotter and more humid. It's definitely noticeable hissing as I increase the RPM as I drive 21 to 3,000 RPM, and I'm convinced there's a significant leak in the intercooler system. However, when I drive to work early in the morning, the hissing is not noticeable most of the time. Why is it intermittent? I'm also curious if the boost control valve could be going bad. A bad solenoid could be intermittent, I suppose. Any suggestions? Much appreciated. Less horsepower is no fun at all. Thanks for your time. Jason, you're right. Less horsepower is no fun. All right, so a couple of things. You could, and probably, I don't want to say 100%, but very likely have a bad turbocharger. I will link up the video. I want you to watch that, and you can just wiggle the wastegate arm yourself and see if that does it. The whistling you might be hearing may actually be a boost leak out of the turbocharger. This would make sense to me as maybe why it's intermittent. Cold, it's not doing it. As everything heats up, maybe it expands at a different rate and that causes a leak. Other really common places for boost leaks on these cars are the piping that goes into the intercooler in the front. There's seals on them. They're not crazy common, like everyone doesn't do it, but it's common enough that I'm talking about it. The other really, probably most common boost leak on that car is actually due to impact damage on the intercooler. So look your head up underneath your car. There's two tabs that come down into the core support that hold the intercooler, and a lot of times somebody will hit something and that'll crack, or they'll hit something and it'll actually break the top mounts of that charge cooler as well. So those are a couple of places that you want to double check. What you can also do is get it to the point where it's doing it, it's making the noise, and then try and have someone else rev the engine up. Like, it'll probably only tack up to about 4,000 RPM and it'll cut you off there. But a lot of times you can get just enough flow, just enough pressure through there in order to hear the noise. You can also use something like a smoke machine. You can also use something like this smoke machine right here. This is from Ready Smoke, Red Line Detection. This thing is pretty cool. I'll be doing a video on it at some point. You can use something like that to smoke the intake system. That's what we would do at the dealership. We would hook it up, pressurize it, smoke it, and you'll find the leak in a matter of minutes. You probably don't have that option. Of course, you can make your own, especially if you're a vape juicer. You can use your vape stuff for that. And yeah, find the leak. So look at the charge cooler, look underneath, go right around where the fan shroud is, and look just forward of the fan shroud. That's another common place that you'll see leaks. But man, watch that video and double check that wastegate actuator arm and make sure it's not that, because I've seen that so many times. It's such a common problem. But look for those other leaks as well, and spend a little time with it before you take it into the shop, because I think you'll probably be able to locate this issue without having to take it to the shop. And if you guys all want to learn more about that P0299 code, I'll link it up whatever side, up here, whatever side it goes on, I'll link it up for you so you can check it out. All right, next up, hey Charles, thanks for and congratulations for the show. Very informative and entertaining. Question, how do I know if my S3 8V is direct or multi-port injection? I've read posts and forums that say I may identify it simply by seeing the manifold, but honestly, I can't tell the difference. Greetings from Mexico, Arturo. All right, so you do have a direct injection engine. In the US, this version really only got direct injection. I'm gonna assume this is a 2-liter, so when you open the hood and take the engine cover off, if you don't see a bank of fuel injectors right on the top into the intake manifold, then it's direct injection, because the injectors are actually hidden underneath the intake manifold on the 2 liters. There's a whole list of engine options worldwide for this car, and not being 100% sure which engine you have, I can't tell you yes, definitely, or no, absolutely. Odds are it's direct injection. It looks like, based on this list, everything is direct injection anyway. So it's a pretty safe bet that your A3 is going to be direct injection. I don't have a ton to add to that one. Let's move on to the next one. All right, got a bonus one, last one of the day from Brett. I have an 04 V8 Touareg, all the bells and whistles and all the immobilizer problems. I can turn the key and nothing happens. I replace the ECU and nothing happens. I've tried an experienced locksmith program a new key since the person I got it from lost the original one and he couldn't program it. I just ordered a new ignition switch with fingers crossed. If that doesn't work, I will turn it over to an expert. I'd rather pay someone who knows the vehicle rather than a dealer. All right, Brett, I got a little bit of bad news for you. When you're dealing with ECMs, immobilizer issue, keys, odds are you're going to end up having to take it to the dealership. There are plenty of shops out there that run factory equipment, factory Otis scan tools. So I'm not going to say you have to take it to the dealership because there are some great independents out there that can do all of this stuff. But the odds are you're going to have to take it to the dealership. Even then, these Touaregs can be a nightmare to program. The key, especially when it's lost, gets all kinds of wonky. You have to bring 15 power back up with the hazards, foot on the brake, holding the high beams. It's a whole pat your head and rub your belly kind of situation that you need to follow in order to get these Touaregs to behave. And even then, it's a disaster sometimes. So the other module we want to look at is the access start module. It's a common failing module anyway, no matter what, and then they get fussy sometimes, especially when the car sits. We also need to start with basics, dude. Make sure your vehicle battery's good. I know that sounds dumb, but those Touaregs ate batteries like crazy, some of them, and then other ones oddly just last forever, it felt like. So make sure your vehicle's battery is good. I would try and plug a scan tool in and see if you can talk to anything. Again, the procedure to bring up, force 15 power, take your key and actually turn it left in the ignition and then right. That might do it, that might get it to go on. So you're turning it like accessory and then to start. Then what you need to do is really you need to get a battery maintainer on it and keep the voltage up. Turn your hazards on. Put your foot on the brake. Hold the high beams on, the flash to pass, right? Hold that on. I usually took a little bungee cord or something to hold the stalk. Then plug your scan tool in and see if you can communicate with anything and go from there. You might be able to talk to access start. It may just need a simple key programming. Sucks you got to have it towed to the dealership or have someone come out mobile, but a locksmith may or may not have the capability to do that. Those 04s were really finicky with key programming, especially the later in time we go, the more difficult they seem to be. Whenever they update the scan tool, immobilizer issues seem to pop up on certain models because they don't quality check all of them. So we would always be like the beta test for what immobilizer problem wouldn't, what immobilizer thing wouldn't work after a scan tool update. But unfortunately, man, you're probably going to have to take it to the dealership. There's one other thing you can also check. If you pull the door sill trim on the driver's front door up and pull the carpet back about, 5-6 inches above where the floor kind of swoops up into the firewall, there's a splice. That splice is insanely common for getting water in it, corroding, and causing weird things like this to happen. So I would look at that as well. You're going to have to find someone that knows the Touaregs, right? A lot of the dealer guys now don't know those. They never worked on them. That was what I cut my teeth on, so I feel pretty confident in my ability to work on them, but I know a lot of guys never got the opportunity to work on those. So good luck, man. Call the dealership first and make sure they got somebody there that knows the Touareg, or call some local independent shops and see if they run the factory scan tool and can do it for you. Otherwise, the dealership's your option. All right, guys, wrapping it up there. Questions, comments, go down below if you like the video. Hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe and sign up. Ding the notification bell. Get email alerts, whatever you want to do. Hey, if you got the notification for this video, let me know. What is it, Notification Squad or whatever? Drop that down in the comments too. Guys, thanks for watching. Remember, you can also listen if you would prefer. Links down in the description to the audio-only version as well. So thank you for watching. Keep the questions coming, and I will see you or talk to you next time.